Hello everybody. If you want to read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 594, The Empty Levels, Intermediate. Sarah hurried through the rain-slicked streets, her heels clicking on the pavement. It was past midnight, and the city felt deserted. She had stayed too late at the office, finishing reports for her demanding boss. Now, all she wanted was to get home to her warm bed. The multi-storey car park loomed ahead, a grey concrete giant with flickering lights. She drove up the ramp to the third level, where she always parked. The place was almost empty, only a few cars scattered like forgotten toys. She found a spot near the lift and turned off the engine. The silence pressed in, broken only by the distant hum of the city. Grabbing her bag, Sarah stepped out. Her footsteps echoed off the walls as she walked towards the lift. Then, she heard it, a soft scraping sound, like nails on concrete. She stopped and listened. Nothing. Just my imagination, she muttered, shaking her head. The lift doors opened with a ding, but inside, the light was out. Sarah hesitated, then took the stairs instead. The stairwell was dimly lit, shadows dancing on the walls. As she descended, the scraping returned, louder this time, coming from above. Her heart raced. Was someone following her? On the second level, she glanced back. No one. But the air felt colder, heavier. She quickened her pace, her breath coming in short gasps. Suddenly, a whisper echoed, "Sarah." She froze. How did it know her name? Panic surged through her. She ran down to the first level, her keys jingling in her hand. The exit was just ahead, the barrier glowing under a single bulb. But as she reached her car, she had parked on the third level. Confusion hit her. Had she taken the wrong stairs? The scraping grew frantic now, like claws scratching closer. Turning, she saw it, a figure in the shadows, tall and twisted, with pale skin and empty eyes. It wasn't human. It moved jerkily, like a broken puppet, whispering her name again. Sarah screamed and bolted for the ramp. The thing lunged, its cold fingers brushing her arm. She tripped, scraping her knee, but scrambled up. Racing to her car on the third level, she slammed the door and locked it. The engine roared to life. As she sped down the ramps, she glanced in the rearview mirror. The figure stood there, watching, but it didn't follow. At the exit, the barrier lifted, and she burst into the rainy night. Days later, Sarah read the news. A woman had gone missing in that car park years ago, her body never found. Locals whispered of a ghost, luring victims with familiar voices. Sarah never parked there again. But sometimes, in the quiet, she still heard the scraping. Vocabulary notes. Loomed. Meaning, appeared in a large, frightening, or impressive way, often suggesting something threatening or overwhelming. Use in story describes the multi-storey car park as a large, intimidating structure that stands out in the dark, rainy night. Example from story: the multi-storey car park loomed ahead, a grey concrete giant with flickering lights. New example: the old castle loomed over the village, casting a dark shadow on the houses below. Similar words: towered, hovered, rose, dominated. Flickering. Meaning, shining or burning unsteadily, with light or movement that goes on and off quickly. Use in story describes the unreliable, unsteady lights in the car park, adding to the creepy atmosphere. Example from story: the multi-storey car park loomed ahead, a grey concrete giant with flickering lights. New example: the flickering candle made strange shadows dance on the walls of the old house. Similar words: flashing, wavering, twinkling, blinking. Scraping, meaning a harsh sound or action caused by something rubbing or scratching against a surface. Use in story, used to describe the eerie sound Sarah hears, increasing tension and suggesting something unnatural. Example from story, then, she heard it, a soft scraping sound, like nails on concrete. New example, the scraping of the tree branches against the window kept me awake all night. Similar words, scratching, grating, rasping, scuffing. Jerky, meaning moving in sudden, uneven, or abrupt ways, often lacking smoothness or coordination. Use in story, describes the unnatural, unsettling movement of the ghostly figure, enhancing its creepy appearance. Example from story, it moved jerkily, like a broken puppet, whispering her name again. New example, the robot moved in a jerky way, as if its motors were malfunctioning. Similar words, twitchy, spasmodic, erratic, unsteady. Luring, meaning attracting or tempting someone to do something or go somewhere, often with a sense of danger or deception. Use in story, describes how the ghost in the car park reportedly attracts victims, adding to the horror of the story's conclusion. Example from story, locals whispered of a ghost, luring victims with familiar voices. New example, the bright lights of the city were luring young people away from their quiet villages. Similar words, enticing, tempting, attracting, drawing. Story written by Grok AI. Image created by Imagio AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, Drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
So what makes a story truly scary? I mean really, truly scary. It's not just about things that jump out at you. Today, in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct the short horror story, The Empty Levels, and pull back the curtain on the author's toolkit, all the subtle tricks they use to build that creeping sense of dread that stays with you.
Right from the very first line, before anything has even happened, the author creates this immediate, heavy sense of isolation. And notice that language. The silence doesn't just exist, it pressed in. That makes it an active, almost physical force. It feels oppressive, threatening. This is a masterclass in building atmosphere.
So, our story is all about a woman named Sarah. She's just finished working late and is heading home. It's a scenario we can all picture, right? That long, tired journey through a city that's mostly gone to sleep. Grounding the story in something so normal, so relatable, just makes the horror that comes next feel so much more real.
And she ends up in a place we all know. And, let's be honest, a place we all dread being in alone at night. A multi-story car park. It is the perfect horror setting. Think about it. It's this cold, concrete, echoey space. And at this time of night, when it's almost empty, it stops being a normal place and turns into something, well, something deeply unsettling. And this right here is where you can see the author's craft really start to shine. They don't just say the car park was big. No, they choose the word loomed. It's such a deliberate, powerful choice. It basically gives the building a personality, like it's a predator, just watching and waiting. Suddenly, it's not just a place, it's a character.
And when you see the full sentence, you see how all these pieces work together. Loomed is paired with gray concrete giant and flickering lights. So the building isn't just big, it's a giant. And the lights aren't just on, they're unreliable, they're failing. Every single word here is chosen to dial up that feeling of dread.
Okay, so the stage is set, the atmosphere is officially creepy. Now the story starts to carefully, methodically raise the stakes. This is the rising action, that critical part where a general feeling of unease starts to morph into genuine fear. The way the fear escalates here is just masterful. It's a slow burn, not a sudden shock. It all starts with something small, something you could almost dismiss, a soft scraping sound. Then a practical problem gets layered on top, the broken lift, which forces her deeper into this vulnerable space. From there, the threat becomes personal, then psychological. Each step just strips away another layer of her safety.
And the use of sound is particularly brilliant.
That first scraping noise is vague, It's unnerving, but it could be anything. But when that sound turns into a whisper of her own name, Sarah, the whole game changes. The threat isn't random anymore. It's intelligent. It's focused right on her. And somehow it knows who she is.
And now, this is the question that's just hanging in the air, for Sarah and for us. The suspense has been cranked all the way up. We've gone from a creepy, empty place to a targeted, unseen threat. We just have to know the answer.
And you better believe the story delivers an answer. We are now at the climax, the moment where all that tension that's been so carefully built finally snaps, and the horror just comes rushing in.
And what's so scary is how simple yet potent the description is. Tall and twisted, pale skin, empty eyes. It's just a few key details, but it paints this perfect picture of something that is fundamentally wrong, something that is clearly not human.
But honestly, what it looks like isn't even the scariest part. It's the movement. The author describes it as jerky. Now, this taps directly into that feeling we call the uncanny valley, that deep, primal unease we get when something looks almost human, but its movements are all wrong.
The simile here is just fantastic. Like a broken puppet. Can you just picture that? That unnatural, twitchy, broken movement is so much more terrifying than a monster that just runs. The way it moves is just as disturbing as the way it looks. And that reveal is the trigger for the chase. Sarah screams, she falls, she scrambles back towards her car on the 3rd level in this desperate run for her life. All that slow, creeping tension is just unleashed in this one single burst of frantic, heart-pounding action.
But escaping the car park doesn't mean she's escaped the story. Oh no. A good horror story lingers, and this resolution shows us exactly how deep the scars can go.
And this is the twist that reframes the entire story. Sarah finds out about a local legend, a ghost story tied to that exact car park. This isn't just backstory. It's a chilling explanation. The whisper of her name wasn't random. It was a calculated trap. The entity wasn't just haunting the place. It was actively hunting there.
And that's the final line. The physical threat is gone, sure, but the psychological trauma is here to stay. The horror has followed her home. That simple scraping sound has become this permanent echo in her life, a constant, terrible reminder of what happened in those empty levels.
That final line is what really elevates this whole thing, right? So, how did the author lead us to that chilling end? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and really dissect the specific tools they used. Let's look at the anatomy of this scare.
Okay, let's zoom in on that key sound, scraping. The word itself is harsh and grating, isn't it? But think about what it implies. It's not a natural sound for an empty, concrete space. It suggests something being dragged, maybe something broken, or something clawing its way towards you.
It becomes the creature's haunting signature, and when it's first introduced, the author gives us that visceral, deeply unsettling image, like nails on concrete, planting that very first seed of real terror.
The other crucial word from the ending is luring. This one verb completely changes our understanding of the entity. It's not some passive, wandering spirit. No, this is an active predator. And it has a specific method for hunting. It uses deception to trap its prey. And that is infinitely more terrifying. Connecting this lure to familiar voices reveals the ghost's truly insidious nature. It uses intimacy as a weapon. It takes something that should be comforting, the sound of your own name, and turns it into a deadly trap. That's just twisted. So when you put it all together, you can really see the author's toolkit in action. They create a suffocating atmosphere with a setting that's both familiar and isolated. They weaponize sound, taking it from a random noise to a personal threat. They control the pacing perfectly, letting that dread build slowly before the final chase. And they tap into our primal fear of the uncanny with a creature that looks and moves in ways that are just fundamentally wrong. It's this combination that makes the scare so incredibly effective.
We've broken down how this story works, but fear ultimately is a very personal thing. So the question I have for you is, what works on you? Is it that slow, atmospheric dread, the uncanny movement of a creature, or is it something else entirely? It's something to think about the next time a story sends a chill down your spine.